So without further ado, I welcome Dr. Tim Kitchen. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Nathan. It's lovely to be with DLTV again, a organisation that's very close to my heart. Of course, I was the Vice President of VITA when we formed DLTV a number of years ago now, out of ICTIV and VITA. So it's been lovely to see the development of this organisation over a number of years. Now, we're talking about multimodal text, and it's an interesting concept, multimodal text. I don't know if you've noticed in the English curriculum for the Australian curriculum, it's actually mentioned 56 times. 56 times. Do you think maybe the policymakers who wrote the curriculum are trying to get our English teachers across the board that there's more than just traditional literacies out there? I'm not sure, but multimodal text is an interesting concept. And when you look at the definition that comes from the curriculum, there's not a lot of differences between multimodal text and multimedia. I think they deliberately didn't call it multimedia because that would then confuse with a whole lot of other curriculum areas and there could be other issues and so on. But calling it multimodal text is quite good because English teachers need to be teaching text. And we need to be thinking about text as a lot more than just the traditional literacies. And of course, video is now considered a literacy right across the world. And it's become so important, especially this year, to develop some video literacy skills. When you look at graphic design, it's so important to be learning some very simple graphic design skills when you're trying to communicate curriculum concepts. And when you're looking at online communication, that is really become more important now than ever. Now, we're moving out of a distance learning phase back into face-to-face. But what the big hope is, for many of us all around the world, is that we'll still take on the skills that we've been developing this year into the future, into a blended learning approach that we'll be able to utilise, because it is considered the professional standard now as an educator to be teaching in a blended learning approach, so that you're not just teaching during the time that you have the students in front of you. You are teaching virtually 24/7 now. Not that you have to be on 24/7, but the students should be able to access the curriculum and learning materials at any time they want to, at any place they want to. And to do that effectively, we need to develop online skills in multimodal text. So what I'm going to do first is just share my screen. And the Adobe solution that we have for a lot of educators around the world is the Spark tools. The beauty of the Spark tools is that they're free. And you don't have to have a Creative Cloud license, for instance, to use them. Although if you do have a Creative Cloud license, they link beautifully to all your other Adobe apps as well. And there's a lovely flow there that becomes naturally part of the Adobe environment. But if you're not an Adobe person, if your school has chosen not to access the Adobe tools, these are free. And they're free to a certain extent. You do have to be 13 or over to get the free version. If you're working in a primary school setting or even in a Year 7 setting where a lot of the students are under 13, you do actually need to have a Creative Cloud enterprise agreement with your school to access Spark, because then you can access it through your normal federated ID at school. And I'll explain a bit about that later. So just before we get into Spark and have a look at what it actually has to offer, Adobe have a wide range of applications, from very high-end professional tools to very simple free creativity applications such as Spark that can be used by every student and every teacher in any course and in any discipline and any intellectual work that's being done. I'm going to play a quick little clip here. This video, some of you would have seen before, but I redid it recently for the EduTech conference, which was earlier this week. So this is a special new version of it, and it gives you a bit of a summary of how Spark fits into the overall environment of the Adobe Creative Cloud. So this clip should start any second now. Adobe's industry standard tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, After Effects, Animate, InDesign and Dreamweaver are vital for media, IT and arts educators in K-12 and tertiary classrooms across the globe. But these days there are a growing number of simple-to-use tools like Spark Video for quick and simple video stories, Spark Post for digital posters and social graphics, Spark Page for quick web pages that Adobe will host for you, Aero for augmented reality experiences, Acrobat DC for PDF manipulation, Adobe XD, a design thinking tool for designing, prototyping and sharing the designs of apps and websites, Dimension for making 3D models, Rush for powerful video editing on your mobile and desktop devices, Fresco, which is the ultimate drawing tool for the iPad and Surface Pro, Photoshop for the iPad, the new Photoshop camera, Character Animator for real-time animation, the new Illustrator on the iPad app, and more. These apps are being used by maths and science educators, English and humanities teachers, law professors, health and physical education teachers, and in any K-12 or tertiary curriculum area that is looking to add an extra level of engagement and creativity into the learning and teaching process. Get to know these apps through the Adobe Education Exchange, which is getting close to 1 million members across the globe with a wide variety of new, free online self-paced courses and resources for educators. The Adobe Education Exchange is made by teachers for teachers. It's a great way to learn how and why Adobe tools are so beneficial in all curriculum areas. It is also the gateway to the new Adobe Creative Educator program, which is a badging program designed for any educator in any curriculum area and level. You don't have to be an Adobe expert to be an Adobe Creative Educator. We do hope you enjoyed this session. Please do share what you learned today with your colleagues and wider education networks. Use this QR code or link if you would like to follow up anything that was presented during this session, or if you would like to join the Australasian Adobe in Education monthly news update. Enjoy this session. There we go. So that's sort of a bit of a summary of Adobe in Education, but let's just share my screen again and let's get stuck into Spark. As it said in that video, Spark is 3 different applications really: Spark Post, Spark Page and Spark Video. Spark Post makes posters and digital graphics. Spark Page makes web pages and online communications. And Spark Video makes videos. And what I'm going to do for you over the next 20 minutes or so is I'm actually going to go into all 3 of those apps, and feel free to follow along with me too, but I'm going to go at a fairly fast pace. So if you get lost, you can always come back and look at the recordings. I'm also going to be sharing a series of much more detailed tutorials that I have created where you can go back and look at each step at your own leisure. So let's jump into Spark now. I'm going to access Spark through a Chrome browser. You can access it through any browser really, except Internet Explorer. If you're still using Internet Explorer, stop it now. Stop it now. Please move on from Internet Explorer. It's time. Not even Microsoft are using Internet Explorer anymore. Any other browser, that'll work fine for you. So I've jumped in, and for most of you, if you know that your school uses Adobe products, you'll be jumping into log in with your school account. That's certainly the case for every Victorian secondary school and every New South Wales secondary and primary school. And in South Australia, so many of their Department for Education schools, and their independents and their Catholics and their Lutheran schools as well. But if you know that your school has decided not to be going down the Adobe route at all, and you know you don't have access that way, you've got free access through your Google, your Facebook, your Apple, and your Adobe ID. But of course, if you're going to access through any of those accounts, you do need to be 13 or over. For students under 13, they can log in with their school account if the school has that agreement. So that's how it kind of works. I'm going to log in with my school account, but it's also my company account. So you'll notice I've got my email address and I put that in. I'll click continue, and then I can choose. I've got a personal account too, but I'm going to go with my company or school account. And it's starting to log in. I have an extra level of authentication that I need to go through, which is probably just for me, unless your school has set up 2 layers of authentication. And I'm just doing that now. And any second, I'll get a notification on my phone to indicate, and it's just going to confirm that I am who I am. And then it's all done. So that's now done. So I'm going to click onto that notification. And yes, it's me. And any second now, you'll see the Spark environment. Now, of course, if you're using iPads or an iPhone, you can access the 3 separate apps on your phone or on your iPad. And Spark Post is also available as an Android app as well. So keep that in mind. In fact, some people prefer them on the mobile tools because they work a lot quicker. I'll explain a bit more about that later. But most schools access through their browser. And now I'm in, you can see, maybe the first time you won't see this because I've got a whole lot of projects here that I've just been building, and there's a whole lot of templates here I could be going into. And if I go to my projects section, you can see all the Spark projects that I've been building, usually as demos. But I'll just show you one really cool thing. If I go to this folder, and you can create folders, if you go to the top right-hand corner, there's a little folder button here. In fact, I've got a cool system here now. I'm going to highlight that. There you go. If you can see where the folder is. And I've got to remember to apply that. If I go to online events, that's a folder I've created. Just have a look at how many people have accessed some of my Spark pages, like this one here. 1.3 thousand people, teachers, have accessed this particular page. 3,600 have accessed this particular page. So I'm getting some analytics, which is quite nice if you're wanting to publish out and getting an idea of how many people are looking at it. So there's Spark pages I've created. There's a video I've created. There's a poster I've created. Some of these I've shared, some of them I haven't. If I go to the plus symbol at the top left-hand corner, and again, I'll highlight that in case you can't see it. So that little plus symbol there. When you click on that, you can see all the different things that you can create with Spark. The flyer, Instagram story, Instagram post, Facebook post, and collage, as well as branded graphics and custom size graphics, they're all Spark Post. Web page, that's Spark Page, and video, that's Spark Video. Again, 3 separate iOS apps, and of course, Spark Post is an Android app as well. I'm going to choose Post. I'm going to create a little flyer. I'm going to just click on Flyer for the moment. And now it's starting to load up to create a poster. And I'm thinking, just for you guys, I'm going to create I'm going to create a little web page that has a poster and a video that is all about creativity and the importance of it. So let's start with the poster. And I could go with one of these great templates that are here and then just rework one of those templates and just change the text and change the picture and keep that. I could do that, but just to go from scratch, I'm going to go to Add. So you've got the Add button on the right-hand side here. When you click on the Add button, you can choose to add text, photos, icons, or logos. I'm going to go with text to start with, and then I'm going to add some text, or I could choose some of these great templates here that we've got available for you to make your text look amazing. But I'm going to just click on Add Text, and I'm going to say creativity, spell it properly. I'll just say creativity, that'll do. And that text will appear on my poster, and I can scale it bigger or smaller, and I can angle it slightly, and I can move it anywhere onto the stage. It's basically a desktop publishing tool, a very simple desktop publisher on your browser or your iPad or your Android device or your iPhone. And let's say I want to rework that text. So if I look at the right-hand side, you can see a bunch of tools have now appeared because I'm in text mode. I can add more text. I can change the type, the color, the shape around the text, the effect. But I love this style tool. I'm going to click the style tool now, and you'll notice that this appears here. And when you grab that little dot and turn it around, look what happens to your text. You're getting lots of ideas and inspiration on how you might want to present it. And you might find you're happy with the type font, but you're not so happy with the shape that's behind there. So if you then go and grab the shape tool, click on that, the very first shape tool, if I scroll that to the top, the very first shape tool will actually get rid of the shape. And then I could potentially grab other shapes if I wanted to. But in this case, I'm just going to keep it without a shape. Just have the word creativity. Let's get a bit of color into this now. There's a whole bunch of color schemes we could work with. I'll just grab that purple one. That'll do. Now I'm going to click away from the text and I'm going to go back to my add button. And this time I'm going to add not some more text, but a photo. And when I click on photo, I could go and upload a photo, any photo that I own or I've taken it and I have the rights to it. That's perfectly fine to then upload it. But what I recommend is to have a look at find free photos, because what you want to try and avoid is getting students to upload images that they've downloaded from Google, because most of those images are copyrighted and you really shouldn't be using. So go to find free photos. If I do a search for creativity, I've got two sources here to work with. We've got Unsplash and Pixabay, and they're two fantastic sources of royalty-free images that you can grab. If I go to Pixabay and do a search for creativity, hopefully my favorite picture, there it is. There's my favorite picture on Unsplash. Look at these two young people. How enthusiastic are they looking? Obviously, they're working at the moment with Adobe Spark. You can just tell, can't you? Now, once you've got the photo in there, you can change the orientation of it. You can scale it with those little handles on the side, again, just like you did with the text. We can pin that to the background. We can add a filter if we wanted to. There's lots of different things we can do with this. But what I really love is if I click away from the photo and away from the text, I'm going to have a look at these tools that are available to me. One of my favorite ones is this one here called the design tool. And when you click on the design tool, it comes up with a range of, on that again, has it worked? Yeah, I think that's worked. A range of different templates. And as I click through these different templates, it's giving me more ideas and inspiration, different ways that I can present the same content that I've got on the page, but maybe in a slightly more creative way. And if I'm happy, say I'm happy with that one, but I'm not happy with the fact that I can't see the boy, so I can always come back into the picture of the boy, I hope. Or I've done too much with it now. Let me just come back into it and rescale it if I can. And just bear with me for a second. Bring the scaling down. It's really changed the scaling, hasn't it? Anyway, I'll probably change that. I'll play with that a little bit later. So let's say that I'm happy with that as my poster, and I can go ahead and a couple of things up the top here. If you notice, we've got an invitation button. This appears in all three of the Spark apps, and this allows you to go and invite someone else to join you and collaborate with you on the project. I could download it as a JPEG or as a PDF. If I click on the download, you can see a PNG, JPEG, or a PDF. Or I could go to share and then share it online, get a link, and then I can share that link through my learning management system, and then everyone will see my poster. For the purpose of this activity, I'm just going to save it as a JPEG to start the download process. And any second that will appear as a JPEG image in my downloads folder. So I'm finished with that poster now, and what I'm going to do is take myself up to the top left-hand corner where the Spark symbol was, and it's now a home key. If I click on that home key, I'm back to where I started in my project page, and you'll be able to see my poster sitting just here, ready for me to re-edit if I need to. But what I want to do now is I want to create a little video. So I'm going to go to the plus symbol and I'm going to choose video. And I'm just going to ignore this section, so I'm going to skip this part. And these genres of storytelling are great for English teachers where you're teaching different genres of storytelling. But for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to start from scratch. The beauty of using an iPad for a Spark video is that you don't have this waiting around for the bandwidth to catch up. It's instant with the iOS devices, so that's pretty cool. And while we're waiting for that to load properly, Lottie is saying, is there any limit to the number of people that can access your projects in the free version? No, Lottie, unlimited. It goes online and it stays online. It'll be there until you and I die. So no, unlimited, absolutely. Now, the first thing that comes up when you load Spark Video is a little tutorial, a little sort of quick tips guide. Don't need that because you've got me at the moment, so I'm going to close that. And this is it, folks. This is the environment to make a video. I'm going to start by doing a quick little voiceover by holding that microphone symbol down. When you click on it for the first time, it might ask you to activate the microphone through the settings. That's a little thing you might have to do just once. Once you've done it, you're fine. I'm going to now just do a little voiceover. I think creativity is absolutely fundamental to education. So there's my opening little statement. And to preview that, I'm going to hit this little play button just here. I think creativity is absolutely fundamental to education. So I've got a nice voiceover, and you notice the music appears in the background. If you go to the top right-hand corner, see where it says music. When you click on that, you've got a whole range of royalty-free music that you can add to your video story. I recommend you don't click the words because that will load the song, but click the little preview button to get a sense of what that music actually sounds like. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to now click on the word and load it. If you're working with an iPad, you can just click on the word straight away. They will load instantly. There's no waiting at all. That's the beauty of the iPad. So let's have a listen to it now. I think creativity is absolutely fundamental to education. So I want to get a title now working. So if I go to the center of the stage where this plus symbol is and click on it, you can see I can add some video content, text, titles, photos or icons, and I'm going to go with text. And I'm just going to type in the word creativity. And I'm not particularly happy with the size, so I'm going to go up to my little options here for changing the size. And I'm also not very happy with the theme. And at the top right-hand corner, next to music is resize, and then you've got theme. And when you click on the theme button, it defaults to my Adobe branded themes, but I love this one. This one's a free theme that comes with all Spark. And you can choose different colored backgrounds. It gives you a little bit of animation as well. And I quite like orange, so I'm going to click play now and see what happens. I think creativity is absolutely fundamental to education. And I'm thinking at this point I might want to add in an image to the next part of my story. So I'm going to go to this button just here. And this button is going to give me a new section. So instead of doing a voiceover, I'm going to let the music keep going because that just keeps going. I'm going to bring in my poster that I just made with Spark Post. Let's do that. So I'm going to go photo, and then I'm going to upload a photo, but there's a brand new feature now, which is take a photo that activates your camera on your laptop, and you can take a photo and that can appear there, which is really cool. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and upload the poster that I just took before, and see if I can find it. There it is there. Click open, and that poster should start loading in. It's been out of proportion. So once it's loaded, we should see a little edit tool appear any second now. Any second now. And of course, with the iPad, you don't have any of this waiting. So that's another benefit of using the iPad over the browser. There we go. So at the top right-hand corner, you've got the little edit tool, and I just make this whole thing a bit smaller. Let's make it a bit smaller so we can see the whole poster. And now let's play the whole story. To play the whole story so far, this play button down the bottom left-hand corner is the best one to use. It'll play the whole thing in full screen. I think creativity is absolutely fundamental to education. And I'll just add one more thing. I'll just close the preview. Top right-hand corner is a little X to help close the preview. I'm going to add another part here and just do another voiceover here. So keep being creative. And I think what I'll do in this case is I'll grab that take photo option. It's going to load the camera, and I'm going to click 3, 2. Oh, I don't think I've got it there in time. I'll do that again. So I've taken that photo, confirm, and now that photo is going to appear there and I can play the whole story. I think creativity is absolutely fundamental to education. So keep being creative. And if you've grabbed any image from Unsplash or Pixabay, like you did with Spark Post, in the same sort of way, if I created another page here into photo, you can see the same images, find free photos. All of the credits of those photos automatically will appear in your credits of your video. And when you finish your video, you can go up to the top where it says share or download, and again, invitation to invite someone else to collaborate with you on this particular video, which is really cool. I could share this online so that I get a link to put it in my learning management system so it's streamed to my LMS, or I could download it as an MP4. I will do the sharing now. I'm going to share and publish, and I'm going to just give it a category called education, keep my author attribution off. I would turn that off if I was working with students, but I'm going to click create link now. And now it's generating, it's sending up what we've created up to one of our web servers, video servers, and it's going to come back as a link. Once it's as a link, I can then go and create a Spark page, and I can embed this video into my Spark page, and I can import the poster into my Spark page. And my final solution is actually a web page with this video in it, with my Spark post, and then everything else that I wanted to add with my Spark page. It's a pretty cool solution, kind of 3 things all in one. Just looking at the chat to see if there's anything there. And Nathan, if there's anything I've missed in the chat, let me know when it's appropriate.
Yeah, I think you did answer Lottie's question earlier about the number of people that can access the projects. So, yeah, I don't think there's any limit to the number of people that can access.
Not at all. So I'm just copying that link. There's the link now that's been generated. And now, just to finish things off, I'm going to go back home again, and I'm going to now create a Spark page, a web page. First part is going to have a title, so creativity, subtitle is cool, and it wants a photo straight away, doesn't it? So I'm going to go to photo, find free photos, do another search for creativity, and let's find one that's in I didn't spell it properly, did I? So that's not going to help. Creativity, it's when you're typing too quickly. Pixabay, let's see what comes up now. Oh, it's the same one. Let's do it in Unsplash. Let's find some other photos. That'll do. Just grab that one. So this becomes the beginning of my web page. See that photo's loading in the background, and as I scroll down, a whole bunch of other tools appears for you. And you can see we can add more photos, we can add text, we can add hyperlinks, we can embed our videos, we can grab do a gallery of images, we can do a glide show, which is a beautiful way of floating things on top of other things, and a split layout. We have image on one side and text on the other. I'm going to go and embed my video now because I've still got it sitting in my RAM. There it is there. So if I click save, that video is now being embedded. You can also embed any video from YouTube, any video from Vimeo, and of course anything from Spark Video. So that video is sitting there ready to go. Let's do a quick little text here. I'll say creativity is a vital skill to teach. And if I click on that text, you can see the different formatting options. We've got heading 1, heading 2, quotations, bullet points, number points, bold, italic. Link, I can turn any one of those words into a hyperlink, which is quite handy. A line to the left, to the center, to the right, and so on. I'll just center up this one and make it a heading. I'll make it a quote. There we go. Yeah, with a quote. I can't format it to the center, but that's okay. That looks pretty cool. And let's just bring in our post that we made earlier. So I'm going to go to photo, and instead of find free photos, I'm going to upload the post that I made earlier, and that'll be sitting on my web page. When you bring in photos, you can have them go in line with everything else, or you can go full screen or have a little window. I might just choose window, and it will reveal itself in a window as it's loading up and I can give it a caption as well. There we go, there's my poster, although in this case that's not going to work very well, so I'm going to go with inline. I think that'll be better. There we go. So if I go to the very top, you can see the start of my web page, and there's my Spark video, and there's my quote, and there's my poster. To preview this, again, if we go to the top, we could just click preview, and that would allow me to preview it within the browser, and it'll make it look as though it was on the internet without it actually being on the internet. I could hit play to the video, and that video would start playing in full screen. I think creativity is I'll just pause that for the moment, and I could come down and have a look at my posters. So that's one way to preview it without having to go online at all. The other option is to go to present mode. If I go present mode, it's like an alternative to PowerPoint or to Keynote. I could grab my little remote clicker, and if I click once, it goes to the video. If I click again, it goes to my next part, and it just rotates through the different key parts, and I can go forwards and backwards. So that's a nice way of presenting. If you're sick of PowerPoint, like a lot of people are, it becomes an alternative for that. Most people will go share. They'll go publish and share the link. You can turn it into a PDF by going to print and then print it out. And a new feature, we can send it straight to our Google Drive accounts too. And again, invite someone else to collaborate with you if you're working with a team. I'll just go publish and share. And what's happened there? What did it say? I'll turn on the author attribution, choose a category of education, and click Create Link. Lottie's saying, this looks so good to create portfolios. Can you upload an audio file into Spark Video or Spark Page? Like an MP3? I've never tried that. If it's a MP4, you can. Or if it's on a server, you can link. Of course you can. You can link. As long as it's sitting on a server somewhere, if you've got the URL of that audio file, you can bring it in. Yeah, absolutely. So there's my link to my Spark page. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy that link. And notice you can also grab the embed code if you know anything about HTML. That's great, because then your Spark page can be embedded inside your school website or your school newsletter or whichever way you want to go. I'm going to copy that simple link there, and I'm going to paste it in the chat. So when you go to the chat now and click on the link, you'll see what I've just created, because it's now being shared in the cloud, which is a nice way to go. So hopefully that's been helpful for you. It's a little bit of a quick run through of what is Spark with the short time that we had together. And I did go a little bit quick. I'm just going to give you a couple of resources to help you go on with. This is a set of resources, and I'll grab the link of this and put it into the chat as well. For those who are with us live, for those of you who are watching the recording, it's a bit.ly slash edutips-spark, and that gives you a bunch of these video tutorials that I've been creating this year on Adobe Spark, Spark for the browser, for the iOS devices, and so on. And that QR code gives you another way of getting into those tutorials. I'm also just sharing this link here, and I'll put this into the chat as well. It'll end up being a very long URL in the chat, but I'd love you to join my newsletter. And I do a newsletter once a month, and this will get you onto it, get you onto my email list so that you can find out more about what's happening in the world of Adobe in education. So please share this with your colleagues, anyone who you know who might be interested in just using some of these tools in their classroom, and see what else Adobe has to offer. Get them to get onto my newsletter, and that'll be published. The next edition will come out in about a week or so, so you should have plenty of time. And finally, I just want to finish off with the Adobe Creative Educators program. We only launched it in July, and we've got 10,000 teachers already who have either completed or started level 1, which is awesome. And we'd love to get more teachers. In fact, ideally, I want to get at least one teacher in every school in Victoria and South Australia to be an Adobe Creative Educator. Like it said in the video at the start, you don't need to be an Adobe expert. It's very basic. It's a 1-hour course about creativity in education, and then a simple Spark post that you submit. That's it. Then you get a badge. You get that official Adobe Creative Educator badge that you can promote yourself as an Adobe Creative Educator. And you might be tempted then to go and do level 2, which is a little bit more involved. But it's a wonderful international community of educators that are just really passionate about enhancing digital creativity in their classrooms, in primary, secondary, and in higher education as well. The Education Exchange, as we said earlier in the video, is about to hit 1 million users. So this is an old slide with 800,000. So we reckon by March, we'll have over 1 million educators on this exchange. And if you need any help with any Adobe products, helpx.adobe.com is a good one-stop shop to be aware of. And very finally, I know I said finally before, I do a show every second Wednesday night with my lovely colleague Erin Rathke from TAFE Queensland. She's my co-host, and we do this show. It's a half-hour chat show followed by about an hour of what we call the deeper dive event, where we go into an app with a bit more thought and a bit deeper, and we have a guest Adobe education leader who's at the highest level of our leadership program from somewhere in the Asia Pacific region, usually Australia and New Zealand. They'll come and join us, and they'll be the expert and they'll be the guest, and they'll share passion and what they know about how to use Adobe in the curriculum with us. So that's every second Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. That's Australian Eastern Daylight Time, Australian Standard Daylight Time. For South Australia, that will be 6 o'clock. And there's a QR code to give you more information on that. I'll just bring that link into the chat as well for those who are with us live. And our next episode is next Wednesday night at 6:30. So I look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to stop sharing at this point because we're about to wrap things up, and I'll stop the recording once I've handed over to Nathan.
Thanks, Tim. We do appreciate your time again this afternoon.